Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Dr. Robinson, and we're going to uh, continue our studies with the absolute value of inequalities. So, absolute value of a number, which is the absolute value of n, is the distance from n to the origin, or 0. The symbol for absolute value are these two parallel lines. For example, parallel lines, we have inside of them positive 7. In this set of parallel lines, we have negative 7. They equal to 7 because positive 7 and negative 7 both have the same distance from 0. If n is greater than or equal to 0, the absolute value of n is equal to n. And if n is less than 0, the absolute value of n is equal to negative n. So if we have n and it's a positive number, the absolute value of n is n. If we have n is a negative number, the absolute value of the n is the opposite of n. So I have a screen I'll be sharing with you in class, so don't miss it. Here are the steps. Isolate the absolute value terms, solve for the variable, reverse the comparison symbol, add a negative sign to the answer on the right side. So after you reverse, add a negative sign, then solve for the variable. So here's our first question. Let's solve and graph. So we want to isolate our absolute value symbol. So let's get rid of the absolute value symbol. So that's absolute value of x plus 2. So we get rid of the symbol and rewrite this as an inequality. And then we're going to take the absolute value again that we isolate, but this time we're going to flip the symbol. So let's flip the symbol to its opposite, and we're going to make the 3 a negative 3. So those are the two things that's most important in doing it, because when you're dealing with the opposite, you have to change this symbol, comparison symbol, to its opposite, and then make the number its opposite by making it adding a negation. So now all you got to do is solve. So let's solve it. Minus 2 on both sides. 2's will cancel out. We have x greater than or equal to 1. There's our first answer. Let's solve the second one. Minus 2 from both sides. Now be careful on this one. The 2's cancel out, leaving us with x. Notice we're not dividing by a negative. And negative 3 and negative 2, that'll give us a bigger negative 5. And there is our second answer. So now let's graph this on the number line to see where there is an intersection, or if not, an intersection. So here's our number line. Put 0 down here. So this one, x greater than 1. So I'll put a 1 here, greater than or equal to 1. So circle going this way, and it's going that way. So going up, like 2, all the way up to positive infinity. All right, let's graph this one now. X is less than negative 5, so less than, so let's put a negative 5 right here, and negative 6, negative 7, all the way down to negative infinity, and we put a circle here and color it in, and it's going this way. Those numbers are less than negative 5 or equal to negative 5. Notice we got colored in circle. So since there is no overlap, this is going to the left and this one's going to the right, there is no overlap, then this is a choice between this or this to be our answer. So we're going to use or as a result. So our answer would be x greater than or equal to 1 and x greater than x less than or equal to negative 5. So that's what we did. Remember our steps? We used OR because there is no overlap, no intersection. And if you want to see a better looking graph, I think I have one down here. There is the graph. Okay? All right, let's move on. Here's a question for you to try. Remember the same process. Isolate the absolute value, make one positive with the same symbol, then on the other one, reverse the symbol and make it negative and solve. See if you get it. Check your understanding, watch the video if you need to, bring your questions in the class and we'll be glad to answer them. All right, here's another one. Again, we want to isolate the absolute value because we have a 2 times absolute value of 6 minus x. So let's get rid of the 2 by dividing both sides by 2. So let's get a color. Let's divide by 2, divide by 2. The 2's are going to cancel out, leaving us with, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And we have 6 minus x equal, less than 2. So 6 minus x less than 2. That's one of the inequalities we're going to have. Then there's another inequality we're going to have where we put the 6 minus x, but we're going to reverse the symbol to greater than and put a negative sign and 2 there. So remember, once you have written one of the inequalities, take the comparison symbol, reverse it, and make it a minus or the opposite of what you got there just by adding a negative sign. Okay, so let's solve it. Minus 6 from both sides. That way the 6's cancel out. We have a negative x less than 2 minus 6, or 2 plus negative 6 is negative 4. And now we got to divide by negative 1. That way we get rid of the negative and x. And remember, when you divide by a negative, you have to reverse the symbol. And 4 divided by 1 is 4, and the same signs is positive. So x greater than 4. That is our answer. Now let's deal with this one. Minus 6, minus 6. 6 is canceled. We have negative x greater than negative 8. Now let's divide both sides by negative 1 like we just did a second ago. Remember, when you're dividing by a negative, reverse the symbol. So I got to reverse the symbol one more time. So instead of being greater than, it is now less than. And 8 divided by 1 is 8, and the same sign is positive, so I get 8. X is less than or less than 8. So now I have x greater than 4, and let's draw a number line because we can graph it to see is there an intersection. Excuse me. So let's put a 0 here and put a 4 right here. X greater than 4. So let's graph that. So it's greater than, so there's a circle, and it's going to the right. All these numbers going this way are greater than 4. Now let's get the second graph on of the inequality, x less than 8. So 8 is over here, and it's put a circle, and it's less than 8, and it's going that way. So notice where it overlaps right here between the 4 and the 8. There is your intersection. So when you have an intersection, as we mentioned in class, that is n. So it's a compound probability joined up by the letter n, and these are your solution sets for both of those compound inequalities. And not including 4 and not including 8. So there you have it. We have the graph. So let's look, see what we got. As we said, between 4 and 8. 4 is less than x and x is less than 8. So those are the answers for that. And let's take a look at what I wrote. Just to remind you, by dividing by 2, rewrite the compound inequality, solve for x, reverse the symbol when dividing by a negative, so keep that in mind. Here's what we did, again, nice and neatly. I divided by 2 both sides, leaving me with 6 minus x less than 2, and then I have 6 minus x is one of the questions, and then 6 minus x, remember, reverse the symbol and put a negative sign for the second one, negative 2, then solve it for x. I brought the 6 over, and x is greater than 4. Remember to switch symbol because you're dividing by a negative. Same thing over here. I brought the 6 over. That gave me negative 8 divided by negative 1. That'll give us x. Remember to reverse the symbol from this because you're dividing by negative 1 to positive 8. And there you have it. This is an and because you have an intersection. So make sure you graph it. Here's another one for you. This one you try by yourself. 5 plus 3 times 2x minus 1, so get that by itself, less than or equal to 17. Check your understanding. Watch the video again. If you have questions, write them down. Bring them in tomorrow. I'll be glad to help you with them. Here's a nice multiple choice. Which of the following could be true? So take a look. One of them's got to be true, so take a guess. And here's another one. Which statement represents all possible values of n? Check your understanding, and we'll be going to some word problems as well. So see if you can figure out these word problems dealing with these inequalities. So absolute value inequalities. So here's another one. This is a good one. I like this one. So list a set of integer values for which f of x is less than x. And here you have f of x is 3x minus 15. So what interval is true that f of x is less than x? Good question. So I hope you found the lesson easy. Watch your video again if you need to. Write down your questions. See me tomorrow in class. So this is Dr. Robinson, hoping you got something out of it. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.